Hello and welcome to this segment of Daybreak Africa. I am Kareen, Edet. So on this episode, we discuss trending topics in various spheres in and around the country. And today we'll be discussing self-development, the role of planning in shaping the pursuit of future expectation. So in the studio with me today is Bisi Olumide. She is a marriage coach, an author, and of course a minister of God. A lot she can do. So we trust that she will do justice to today's topic. You're welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right. So to the business of today, self-development, the role of planning in shaping the pursuit of future expectations. So to start with, what would you explain self-development to be?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Self-development simply means whatever thing I do to improve myself, I realize there are some potentials in me, there are talents in me, but they are untapped. And so if I want to get fulfillment from it and I want people to be blessed by it, I must develop it. So I put things in place. I may go for a short-term course, I may develop my skill, I go for learning, apprenticeship, mentoring, under people, so that I can develop myself in the particular area I see that is my interest.
Okay, so speaking on planning, a lot of people believe that just maybe when they wake up, they can do anything without prior, anticipation of that thing or prior planning towards that thing. So how does self-development facilitate planning now?
Yes. You see, if we don't plan, we're only planning to fail. And what actually is planning? Planning is just putting things together, organizing myself, and then taking steps to fulfill it. And so if you want to develop yourself, I identify which area do I want to develop, then I start planning for it, putting things together and say, okay, maybe I'm going to take a form, maybe it's a school or it's an apprenticeship work. I take a form, I take steps, and then from there, I put things in place to ensure that what I intend to get, I'm already planning towards it. Because you don't just get into your dreams in a day. You must plan it. And planning helps you to be focused. Planning helps you to know, am I really getting at what I want? So if you don't plan, you can't get what you want.
Okay. So a lot of people believe that there is a certain stage, in life where one would probably plan. Some believe that after school, they can start planning. Some believe that when I get to a certain age, I can start planning. But to you, at what stage can one start planning towards the future?
Okay, thank you. Actually, we start planning immediately the thought crosses your mind. For parents, if they are conceiving a child and planning for the child to come in 9 months, they must start planning right from the conception. When the child comes on board, they bring the child into that plan. Like you are going to school, you are going to do this, and then planning continues. So if we want to get a good future, it's good to start planning very early. Like I said, the moment a thought crosses your mind and it starts crystallizing and you feel this is what I want to pursue, then start planning, organizing yourself, organizing things to actualize that dream.
All right, thank you so very much. So if you are listening to us, it is very important that you get yourself developed in terms of going for trainings, in terms of getting skills acquisitions, and also it is important that you plan towards the future, because you can't just wake up in a day to achieve a thing. There has to be some steps put in place, some measures put in place for you to achieve that. Thank you so very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
So on to our very next question.
Okay.
So how can one set goals and follow it judiciously?
Yeah, very good question. You see, if you want to set a goal and follow it judiciously, the first thing is to identify, what do I want? What is the meaning of goal? Goal is there is a target. There's something ahead of me I want to accomplish. I must put it down, because every goal starts from the mind. You must bring it out of your imagination to write it down. Maybe you can write it in a paper or your laptop. And once you say, this is what I want to accomplish, the next thing is you must begin to plan towards it. For instance, there was a time I wanted to write a book. It was a goal. And I saw that I needed plans. Because of my busy schedule, I couldn't get so much done. So what did I do? I started saying I must put in at least an hour or 2 every day. That's a plan. And that's it. That's something set before me. So every day I make sure that I have that time to put into it. So when you set a goal like that, you see, because there's tendency for laxity. So the next thing is you must monitor what you are doing. Evaluate yourself. Am I really getting at what I want within the plan? Because plan makes you to be focused. To know, okay, like I said, at least I must write a chapter or 2 a day. That's a goal, and that's being planned within those hours. So if I'm not meeting it, I'm not going to be discouraged. I'm still going to say, okay, I couldn't meet my 2 chapters yesterday. Let me put more effort today. So when we want to follow any goal judiciously, you must never be discouraged. Don't give up. Even if you cannot accomplish what you intended in a day, don't give up. Continue at it. And the next thing you can do also is that you have to give room for any eventuality. So when there's a situation that you couldn't meet up, just keep going, move on, and then encourage yourself to say, I will get there, I can make it. That's how you can follow something judiciously, and don't ever be discouraged. Thank you.
Okay, so you must set goals, and if you must achieve those dreams, if you must accomplish those goals, you must be focused, you must be determined, and you, of course, must know that in life there will always be that laxity. There will always be those times you feel discouraged, but always encourage yourself and keep moving on. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
So to our very nice questions, the principles. They say in life there are principles you must follow. All right. So what are some of those principles? Well, aside some of the things you have mentioned already, what are some of those principles that, if they are not applied, can mar one's expectations?
Yeah, thank you. I have 2 principles here that I wrote down. One of it is discipline. If you are not disciplined, you can't accomplish anything in life. And what actually is discipline? I'm setting rules to control my life. I'm setting rules to control my life. I'm telling myself I must follow a particular pattern. Like I told you, I said one of the things I planned was that I'm going to put in 2 hours in a day to write at least 2 chapters. So that is discipline. And then if you are disciplined, you now have to be determined. And when you are determined, you are saying, no matter what, I'm still going to keep forging. Even if I don't meet the target, it's like you are resolute. Nothing discourages you. You're just resolute and say, look, I'm going to get at my goal. So it's very important, those 2 things particularly, when you are disciplined, because an undisciplined life will just be they will just be wishing, oh, I wish I can do this. I wish I can do this. These are wishful thinkers. These are daydreamers. These are those who are lazy and just be procrastinating because they are not disciplined. But once you are disciplined and then you add determination to it, you can get to your goals very quickly. Okay,
so there are a lot of people out there, especially the young people, who still believe planning comes when they wish they should. Some don't believe that you can actually start at an early stage, but they just set their mind towards a particular time that, okay, once I get to this level. But can you tell us what role early self-development plays, in terms of pursuing the future expectations?
Thank you very much for that question. You see, we don't do things haphazardly. You don't enter into the future unplanned. So if you want to enter into a glorious future, a fulfilling future, you must start planning. Like I said, the moment a thought crosses your mind, you start planning for it. And you see, early development helps us to plan and forge a future for ourselves. I remember one of my children, right from when she was in JSS 2, we started seeing some things in her, some traits of a teacher. And we started developing her. In fact, during the holidays, she will organize her little ones, and she's organizing lessons for them. And we said, this one is a born teacher. And from there, we started developing her such that when she was going to do JAMB, we just told her, just put education. And she entered on merit. So, and today, she's a child instructor. She's a child educationist, because after she finished her first degree, we said, look, go for early childhood. And we know that that's the area. So we started planning for her very early. So when she was choosing subjects, it also helped. So early planning, early discovering of what you really want helps you to plan, and then you are able to, reduce wasting of time and wasting of resources on things that are not necessary.
All right, so before we talk about the parent role in child development into adulthood, let's talk about shared thoughts. For the introverts, they believe they are okay to themselves. They can't meet people to share their thoughts. And sometimes this affects them in the long run, because they said when once one person shares their thoughts, there is that possibility that this person's idea could help, So for those set of people who are just to themselves and can't, what would you advise them? What would you say to them in this matter?
Thank you. You see, what I would advise them is that naturally we know in parts and we see in parts. You see, there's always a part you see that I don't see, and there's also always a part the other person sees or knows that I don't know and I don't see. So even if you are an introverted person, know in yourself that you don't know everything and you don't even see everything. There is a perspective you see that the other person did not see, and there's a perspective you don't see. So it is better that we get second opinions. It's better you share your thoughts. Okay, this is what is coming up in my heart. This is what I feel. How do I go about it? You'll be surprised that you will gain more wisdom from others, and we learn from others. And when you learn from 1, 2, 3 persons, when you share your thoughts with them, you are adding to your own thoughts, and you become more knowledgeable. And then you are able to avoid mistakes or errors, even in whatever you want to do. So that's my advice.
All right, so thank you, Ma. So if you're out there and you feel you're okay to yourself, or probably you know almost everything, or just maybe you know everything, here we're telling you today that shared thought helps a lot. It helps in self-development. It helps you to plan, because one person doesn't know everything. So once you share your thoughts, be sure that 1 or 2 words could actually contribute to your future pursuit. Thank you once again. All right, so to the very next questions. Can one attain that level of fulfillment without planning for the future? Some people believe, so many people believe that without planning, you can even hear people say, I wake up and I do this, I didn't plan it, I didn't think about it, and it worked. But can one truly attain that level of fulfillment without planning towards the future?
Not at all. You can't enter into a level of fulfillment without planning. You see, there are some things that you can just wake up and enter into. There are some things that if you don't sit down to plan and pursue it judiciously, it will just remain as a daydream. And so, if you want a fulfilled future, you need to settle down. What do I really want? And then you plan towards it. Do you know that planning is like planning and then pursuing what I want? Is like you are posting fulfillment to the future. So when you don't plan anything, you don't pursue anything, you are not posting anything. You are not posting any fulfillment there. So it's as you are planning and you are pursuing it, you are seeing it crystallize and actualize in your presence. Before you know it, you are already in that fulfillment you are looking for. So if you don't put anything in place, if there's no planning, you're just saying, I don't want any fulfillment in the future.
Okay, so to add to that, can savings be part of planning? Because a lot of young people believe until I get a job before I start planning. But the little things they are doing that is earning them something, just maybe could be enough for them to take a portion or a particular value and save somewhere. But they believe, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this now when I get a job before I start planning. So what would you say regarding that?
You see, even for savings, we need to plan for it. And you see, you don't need to have much before you save. Are you understanding me? You don't need to have much. I'll give you this testimony of my daughter. She said she's working. Even before she started working, she said every 50 naira, every 100 naira change she collects from maybe from the vehicle or from the bike man, she has a savings that she had when she was small. She just puts it there. And every day, now she's married, she says she still continued. That even if her husband, she's working now, if her husband has change, 50 naira, 100 naira, she puts it there. One day I went to her house, I said, what are you doing with all these 50 naira? She said, mommy, this is small. Oh. If you see the ones I've kept somewhere. I went to her place last month. She told me that, do you know that last year alone, she saved 13,000 out of 50 naira, and she took it to the bank. So I know that if there's any emergency or any small thing she wants to buy, she will not be stranded. So planning to save, you don't need to wait until you earn 100,000, 50,000. Even the little money you have, you can just put something small somewhere. And in the time of need for any emergency, you know there's some emergencies that are so small and yet you will not have. So you can have somewhere to dip your hands into and bring out something, and you will not be embarrassed. So savings is also part of our planning. Plan to save.
All right.
Right early.
Savings is part of our planning. Plan to save. So to our very next questions,
All
implications. Right. Just maybe we know this, but can you emphasize it again? Those implications that are likely to occur if one doesn't develop his or herself and also plan towards the future.
Okay, so when you don't plan, you see, you are only waiting for embarrassment when you don't plan for anything. Because you see, when you don't plan to develop yourself, like I tell people, those who develop themselves are the ones who will have opportunities. So if you don't plan early and you start late planning, do you know that when there's opportunity for a job or for something that would have made you to be known by others, they will not pick you. So there'll be a setback. So one of the problems of late planning or not planning is that there will be a setback in that person's life. There will be a setback, and what you needed to do that you didn't plan to do it, you'll be delayed in doing it. So it's good for us to plan early. And I also see that the person will lose a lot of opportunities. Like I said, if there's a job and they are looking for somebody who is skillful in IT, in addition to other skills that you acquired in school, and you don't have any, they will not come and pick you on sentiments. They will pick you based on what you have developed yourself. And I want to also quickly say here that the issue of self-development is throughout our life. Even as I am now, I'm still developing myself. I am in the literary line, writing and reading. So every day I go to the dictionary, I learn new words, I get meanings. It's also self-development. I read books to develop myself. So there's no time we must stop developing ourselves. So, and you see, if you don't develop yourself, you will not be able to face the future. Because what the future demands, you don't have it. So late planning may be dangerous. Plan early.
So how can one improve on this weakness? Because for those who have not developed themselves, it's a weakness to them. So how can they develop shortly?
Okay, their weakness. No.
Yes.
You see, there are some weaknesses that they don't hinder our future. Like there are some things I just don't know how to do. Like for me now, there are some mechanical things I'm not interested in. Those are not weaknesses that will mar us. But there are some weaknesses that you know that this thing is going to mar my future if I notice it. For instance, God wants me to be in the literary place and then I don't know how to speak well. It's a weakness. Maybe I don't know how to pronounce some words well. It's a weakness. So what do? I identify it. I don't cover it. What I do is identify that weakness and then take steps. Don't excuse it, because if you excuse a weakness, you will not improve on it. So when you identify it, get somebody who can help you out. Like I said, supposing I don't know how to pronounce some words, supposing I don't know how to read very well, and I know that I want to face my generation with reading, then I must go and learn something. Go and develop myself in that area. If it will cost me anything, I must be ready to put it in. So when we identify a weakness, the best option is go get somebody to help you out of it.
So what would be your last words?
Okay, since we are looking at self-development and youth, my advice to them is that the youthful stage is an adventurous stage. They must engage it very well in developing themselves before the future and the adulthood catches up with them. And I also want to say that for youths, if you don't develop yourself now, there will be a setback. So make the hay where the sun shines, and then be patient. Many of our young ones are no more patient. They want quick money, quick certificate. You see, and self-development is a process. It takes time. It may take weeks, it may take months, it may take years, depending on what you are learning. Put your heart at it. Be determined, be disciplined, and you will see that all things will work well according to God.
Thank you so very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
It was nice having you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And that's where we'll be drawing our curtain for this segment of Daybreak Africa. And until I come your way next time, I am Kareen Edet.